Hello, everybody. How's it going? Yeah. I know we're in the afternoon, we're in the home stretch. I feel so grateful to be here and so grateful to be joined by this incredible crew. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's actually going to take to bring 1 billion people and then the entire world on chain. And I want to just start with the basics. I'd love for each of you to quickly introduce yourself, tell us what you're building, what the problem is that you're solving, and then how it's going.
Sure, I'll start. Hi, I'm Ty Haney, founder and CEO of TUIB.
Yeah.
An on-chain Gen Z rewards app. My background is in the brand building space. I had a company called Outdoor Voices. The problem we're solving, brands today have a relationship problem. Forever, brands have spent a lot of money acquiring customers through Facebook and Instagram and not owning that data or those relationships. And it's gotten very expensive. So we have a rewards, retention, and loyalty solution, and we're relaying and kind of replatforming loyalty through TUIB, allowing brands to directly incentivize and motivate their fans to take action, and ultimately that makes community a growth channel.
I love it. Merlin?
All right, Merlin, co-founder of Morpho. So Morpho is the infrastructure for on-chain loans. We have like $6.5 billion of total deposits. So basically, if you take a step back, 50 years ago, if you wanted to get a loan, you need to walk to the bank, talk to the banker, provide a ton of information on you. Today, you basically need to do the same thing. Going to the banker, provide maybe even more information than previously, and it's super slow. With Morpho, we are just basically saving time and solving that exact problem. It's like, we have internet, AI, agent, we have smartphones, but the financial service and the financial infrastructure is still super slow. We have a lot of human work in it, and we're basically solving that. A good example that we released this year with Coinbase is Coinbase released a Bitcoin-backed loan product. Right now, there's like $1 billion deposited as collateral, 300 mil of active USDC loans, and it's one click away from all Coinbase users. Is at 5%, the cheapest rate that you can have among the TradFi world. So that's basically the problem that we're solving.
Incredible. Shane?
Hi, I'm Shane. I'm from Polymarket. Polymarket is a prediction market, and people basically trade markets on events. The really cool thing about it is when you let people trade these markets, you get price discovery. And the price discovery tells you how likely something is to happen and how it's changed over time. So you may have seen some screenshots or like where there's a question about what's going on in the world, and you see a chart, and you see a percentage, and people are putting their money where their mouth is. Been started 5.5 years ago, and I'm really excited. I always deeply believed that the idea of markets as an information source was this really powerful under-tapped concept. And it's been awesome to watch it become more of a thing than it was when I started. We still have a long ways to go, though.
But Polymarket is the news today.
It's definitely, sometimes when I see the stats, and sometimes when I meet people and they tell me, oh, I religiously check Polymarket, like earlier today, it kind of sets in. Yeah, it's amazing that a lot of people rely on it for forecasts and fact check or get an alternative point of view from what they're seeing on the news or what they're seeing on X. I just think about if Polymarket didn't exist, like the fact that we wouldn't have these markets. It's like, how could you ever go back to that now?
I love it. And just kind of listening to what you guys are building, it's across a bunch of different things. We have consumer loyalty, e-commerce, we have lending, we have the news and prediction markets. But all of you have decided to build Onchain, this kind of new internet, this new technology platform that we think is going to transform the world for the better. Shane, I'd love you to just start, why did you guys build Polymarket Onchain? And kind of what was that, what did that get for you as a business?
Yeah. Look, I started Polymarket literally with no money, no money. So what I love about blockchains, first and foremost, is this idea that some kid in his bedroom can go and innovate and build something that's like a new model and go test something that would be extremely difficult, extremely time-consuming, extremely expensive to go and do in a TradFi environment. So that you can let people experiment and sort of validate demand and validate the feasibility of an underlying financial idea or an experimental market structure. So there really was no other alternative. And I think what's exciting about Polymarket being on chain is two main things. The first is it's inherently global. So if you want these truth markets, you want people to be able to go and put their money behind their opinions. And the more sort of people who are trading, the better price discovery, the better liquidity you have, the more accurate it is. That's really powerful, especially when it's like, the past month there's been like all these events all around the world, and I'll just see in my emails and like on my X feed like so many people getting angry at me or adding me from like different corners of the globe, and that's when I like, okay, we're doing something right. And the second is the element of transparency. So what's cool about Polymarket is that when you go on, you can see who holds shares in what other markets they're trading, what price they bought at and what price they sold at. And you can go check on chain to validate that that's true. So as the market moves, when someone starts buying a lot, you can go and look at that wallet. You can go and see what else have they traded. Where did the USDC that they're using come in from? Where was it transferred in from? There's all these data points and there's almost like nowhere to hide. So it's the most transparent, open market that it can be. I think that's really important when you think about building like, on one hand, the global truth machine, but also like the global prediction market, which is obviously like half truth machine, half financial market. So, I think that the signal would be much lower if it was this opaque box once you came into it. And yeah, so it's been exciting.
I love it. Merlin?
Right. So what Shane said at the beginning, I think deeply resonates. We were like, crypto lowers the barrier to entry to everyone to build businesses and be creative. I mean, we started also in our bedrooms. We started Morpho as students, and now we are like basically building a protocol that holds billions of dollars, where you have like users from like I don't know, Argentina, US, Asia, whatever. So this is like one of the superpower of DeFi, but also the fact that it's globally open allows like deep liquidity, which allows like better rates for everyone. Also, it's like fully transparent. It removes all the intermediaries that are quite useless and take rates at each step. And also, you have like instant execution, which is something that in TradFi world could take like a month or something like that. You can just have like the liquidity in just seconds, which is like unbeatable in the TradFi world. So those are some of the key improvement of that DeFi provides.
And both of them have been talking about markets, but you're coming at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like why on-chain for you guys?
Yeah, of course. I think like the core concept and why this matters in our space is ownership. I think there's two things that matter in brand building today. It's about co-creation, so inviting your most kind of loyal superfans into the fold to help you power things like preferences, insights of things that are going to come out later, like products, and then incentivization. And I think 5 years from now, ultimately, we're going to have kind of the crypto infrastructure, on-chain infrastructure kind of in this community commerce space that allows for the next Nike to truly be community-founded, community-funded, and community-run. In the meantime, what we've started to, we've kind of created this wedge around loyalty. And I think for too long, loyalty for a brand has been in a silo, where my status with, let's say, Rare Beauty only exists within Rare Beauty's world. That definition of loyalty has been too narrow as well, where it's just, I'm getting rewarded for how much I purchase. Right. With TYB, it's an app, multiplayer game. All of your favorite brands are in this app. And your status with each brand speaks to one another. And so we're making loyalty more effective. I can go into that in a later question. But ultimately, I believe in this idea of the consumer-owned identity and loyalty becoming essentially status. And so over time, as all of these different preferences and statuses within different brands are kind of culminated into one ID on-chain, that becomes really powerful as we think about powering commerce not only within the 2IB ecosystem, the base ecosystem, but everywhere. And so I, in a lot of ways, think of it not as like a credit score, but the consumer version of that, and that's why it needs to be on-chain.
I love it. And maybe just I love those answers because they're so concrete, and I'll just summarize them before we go on to the next question. For Shane, it was It was easier for you to do it. It was really the only way for you to build the product. It was transparent so that you could actually build this effective open markets, and then it's default global so that everyone everywhere can participate. For lending, it's that, again, it's easier, 10 times easier, and as a student, you could actually build $1 billion protocol, which in the traditional financial world is impossible, and you have this incredibly effective market because everything's happening in real time, and it's all happening in this programmable layer. And then for TYB, it's about ownership and sovereignty, where people can actually own their data and benefit from it, as well as a level of composability, so that the data for one brand isn't in a silo, but instead it's connected to all the others, which lets you build a better experience for consumers. And so those benefits, the leverage, the globalness, the transparency, the market efficiency, the sovereignty, those are such concrete kind of core values of Onchain and a core platform unlock. But I think at the same time, it can be hard for people to almost like wrap their head around, like, what is crypto good for? What is Onchain good for? And each of you is building a real product that is actually making change in the world on a daily basis. People are using it, and you're the people who are closest to that. I'd love for you to just like share an example. Like, how is this actually working? Like, how are people using your product? How is it helping real people? Like, how is this pushing the world forward?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So we are fortunate to work with some of the best, or most of the best consumer brands. Think Rare Beauty with Selena Gomez, Crocs, Glossier, etc. And the brands are our customers. So traditionally, loyalty programs are ineffective. What they use our service for is to gamify loyalty in a way that they invite their members into their community. They have different challenges and prompts, so valuable type actions for a brand, creating content, hosting events, showing up to events, purchases, that as these people, the fans, the super fans, take action, they're earning coins that become redeemable through a Shopify integration on their site. And so it's interesting and quite simple. It's a game. We're driving engagement, and it ultimately leads to increased frequency of purchase and higher lifetime value. And so at the end of the day, when you think about making community a growth channel, it must be measurable. And as we are able to look at the purchase data and ultimately the value of these customers, we're making them more valuable over time for all of these brands for this game.
And what about on the consumer side? Like, what are the experiences that the people who are in the game are having?
Yeah, it's so cool. So if I'm part of the Rare Beauty Selena community, there's like 200,000 of them, and all of these guys are on chain.
200,000 people on chain participating
just for
in
Rare Beauty and Selena. I mean, there's a lot more. We have 200 brands on platform. But anyway, I'm entering this community, and I'm essentially spinning up an ID. I get a membership collectible. Yep. It represents my belonging to the community. And then as I progress from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, I unlock rewards. And so that could be something like an exclusive product through TYB Shop, which is powered by Shopify. It could be that I get to go to the front row of a Selena concert. But at the end of the day, community in the brand world has been a fluffy, kind of intangible term. And when you look at the data, it really can become an effective growth mechanism. And that's what we're proving out, kind of making community measurable.
I love that. Merlin, how are people like actually using lending and changing people's
lives?
So
one of the superpower of DeFi is letting access to basic financial infra and services to everyone on Earth. And I think there's a very good example of that is that we recently launched on Onchain 2 months ago, so the Sam Altman project. We had 300K users using the Morpho mini app to lend and borrow, so getting access to just basic financial service. And how many countries are in the West from the 10 top country? 0, not a single one. It's just South America, Southeast Asia countries. And I mean, this is a big driver for us, and this is just the power of DeFi, and letting access to that is like just wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. Shane? I feel like we've all gotten a little bit of a taste of it if we're on Twitter, like how is Polymarket changing the world? But what are you seeing firsthand?
Very kind of you. Yeah, I mean, look, like it's just very special to see people who are really focused or really curious or really anxious about something that's going on in the world, that they really want to know what's going to happen because it's going to affect their future. And they can look at Polymarket to go and get a much more accurate picture of what's likely to happen than if they were on X, or there's great stuff on X, but if they were watching TV or on X. And So, you know, it's like you look at maybe traditional polling, or you look at algorithmic news feeds that go and show you things that you already want to see, and that, you know, there's all this user-generated content and all these different people's opinions, and it's showing you specific opinions based on your user profile, right? And the fact that there's just one canonical place that shows sort of where people are putting their money where their mouth is and what the price is that moment, it helps people get a better picture of what's likely to happen in the future and, you know, better plan for it.
Yeah, I love it. And I'll just share, these are actually all three products that I have used or am using. So Polymarket, I recently used, we had a local election where I live, and the data is just really slow to come in. And I was tracking Polymarket to figure out what was likely to happen in the election, and it was happening over like a 2-week period, and Polymarket was the thing I kept going back to. For Morpho, I actually, right now, in my savings, I have cash savings, and I could put that in a traditional savings account and earn whatever, like 1%, at 25 basis points, or maybe if I put in a CD or something longer, like 3 or 4%. I have my cash sitting in a Morpho pool that's managed by another protocol, Moonwell, and I think I'm earning like 8%. And it's low risk, incredibly like secure, trusted, just immutable contracts. And then TYB, I don't know, am I allowed to talk about what's coming, like
yeah,
the brand this summer with the
yes.
shoes? Yeah, so TYB is this summer doing a collaboration with Crocs. And Crocs is coming on board as a brand partner. And folks don't know, Crocs has like, I think one of the most like avid consumer cultures around like buying Crocs, customizing Crocs, the gibbets, putting them in there. And I will confess, my primary shoe is a Croc.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, you know, told I had to wear a suit, which I also maybe a little bit ignored, I would have worn Crocs.
You better join like first person. It's all
Onchain,
right?
And so Crocs, like this summer, I'm so fired up because I'm going to get to be a part of TYB and using Crocs and participating in that. So I feel like, you know, it can be a little bit hard for you know, folks who are totally outside the space, or maybe even folks who are just primarily on the speculative side of the space, to see like what's the real world impact. But the second you actually start digging into the products that people like y'all are building, it's actually pretty real. It's happening right now. It's consumer products, it's financial products, it's news and prediction products that are having a real impact on millions and millions and millions of people's lives all around the world. And so, I don't know, I felt honored to get to be on stage with all of you, because getting to actually use the products and then meet the people behind them is a pretty special thing. And with that segue, I want to, we're getting close to time, but if folks couldn't tell, we got like the maybe like kids on stage panel. That's why we're all wearing t-shirts. And I wanted to just like push on that a little bit. Like, what's a spicy take for each of you? Like, give me one spicy take, something about the kind of like TradFi or trad world that's broken that you think crypto can fix, and then something about the crypto world and culture that's broken right now that you think we need to go and fix.
I think I have one for both of those.
Okay, let's go.
That's that crypto has a girl problem. There's not many of us that are in the space. And that's a problem as we think about the traditional world that's broken. Like, a lot of women, if we don't do something about this, are going to miss out on the value creation off of the decade and beyond. And so that's something I take very seriously as I think about bringing millions and millions and millions of women on chain. The other way around, need to fix. Same thing, same problem. I walked in here respectfully, and the guy was like, nope, I don't think this event is for you. And I was with 2 girls from my team, and I'm like, yes, we're speaking. And like the hoops we had to jump to get in just because we didn't look like the crypto or financial world or audience was a big deal. And I think like that, if I had to crystallize, the issue and the opportunity is very real.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also, there's like, you have 200,000 people participating in the Selena Gomez Rare Beauty on chain.
Yes.
Like, why isn't that being talked about right now?
Oh yeah, I know, yes.
Like, that's one of the largest consumer use cases of crypto, period.
We've got a lot of heat onboarding people. Maybe not as much heat as this guy or this guy, but a lot, and we're coming.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and just super grateful for all the work that you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Merlin, Shane, either of you want to jump in?
Right. So I think for the TradFi part, I will leave it. I think we've already talked a lot about it, about what's broken in that space. But on the crypto space, I think I have a hot take, which is we should focus more on the infrastructure side. So it's great if we focus on UX and apps, etc. But the problem is, I mean, it's at the infra side that if you do it right, then you enable all the use cases on top, and you enable all the creativity and the opportunities on top. So if you mess up with the infrastructure, you won't get that paradigm shift that crypto and blockchain can enable. So I think like founders and builders into that space should really focus on trying to improve the infrastructure first, and then like getting to the millions of or billions of users, and letting actors like Coinbase to build those consumer products that reach those billions of users.
100%. Shane?
Well, for crypto, it's kind of the opposite of what you said, but I think the main thing is,
Nice, it's good.
yeah,
It's good.
of all the
Right,
things
right.
that people build, maybe I'm biased, but like I think when you build a product, like the hard part is building something that people actually use,
Yeah.
that people want to use organically, that people want to go to after they see it one time, they come back to it later. Like that's what it's all about when you're, an entrepreneur, you're a product builder. And I think that in crypto, the incentives just get skewed where, it's much easier to build some infrastructure that no one will ever use and just try cash out, or it's much easier to build a protocol and just try cash out. And it's sort of, the incentives are aligned as such that no one really tries to build something that could actually like catch on, amongst people organically using it. And for the past few years, all we ever hear is people talking about killer use case, users, and it's sort of like this cosplaying that people care and no one really does. So I think that I commend anyone trying to build something that, actually has users or cultural impact. I think that's really important. I think that's how things get I think that's how the space gets pushed forward. I think that's how more users come on chain, if that's the nomenclature used here. But and then in the traditional world, I mean, there's so many. I guess what's close to home with Polymarket is I'm kind of excited that we're in this stage of like the Overton window shifting, where it's just like a lot of these traditional institutions that were gatekeepers are really holding on to like the last shred of credibility or the last strand of leverage that they have. And that, these institutions or these gatekeepers have like their credibility, like the merit of their stamp of approval, it has just been diluted to the point of it almost being a counter signal, but at the very least being, near useless. And I think I'm just excited at the next generation just being a lot more, not even skeptical, but just, ready to go and look at alternatives and go and not take everything that they see on TV or on the internet at its word. Especially as like AI proliferates, it becomes even more important. So, hopefully we can have the people who've been able to go and spin whatever narrative they want. There's a little bit of a new world order, and I like to think that Polymarket, where it's driven by markets and not just who can spin up the best story or who can be the most charismatic. I think that's kind of one of the antidotes. I'm excited about what we do in that regard.
I love it. I appreciate the takes. I'm going to share mine. I feel like I get to do that.
Come on.
So first one on the trad side, and I think Shopify is a good example of this. I think at this point, there's no higher leverage investment than for a TradFi company than figuring out what's their most complicated business process with money and figuring out how to write that as a smart contract. Like literally, I think you could probably take things that are millions of lines of code and compress them into thousands of lines of code. And it's just about figuring out the wherewithal to do that. And so there's going to be this massive disintermediation where the companies that realize that, like make the investment and go, and the companies that don't die. And I think it's going to happen faster than people expect. So that's on the TradFi side. And then on the crypto side, I think, if you're on crypto Twitter, and I imagine some of the people here are, it's kind of crazy. There's some like doom and gloom right now of like the prices aren't up. Like Bitcoin's at $100,000. But putting that aside, I think that people are like massively underestimating how close we are to all of this just totally hitting. I think that it's now measured in like months, not years, and that we have the pieces coming together, and that sometime this year, we're gonna start the viral growth phase where literally it just like won't stop growing until the entire world's on chain. And I think that's a combination of the infrastructure finally being ready, a new kind of like wave of founders like y'all who are product centric and really building real consumer experiences. And then just like the kind of like decaying of the existing systems, and that catalyst is coming together where we're about to bring the world on chain really quickly, much quicker than people expect. You have something out there? No.
Me?
Yeah. It's like,
Nothing.
nothing. Okay. So last question, like kind of along that lens, what's something you're excited about right now that you're working on that you think is going to help unlock more adoption, grow the pie, bring us on chain faster?
Yeah, of course. Our focus is on-chain community commerce. And so for me, that requires 3 main companies. And I'm excited to announce that we are migrating to Base, which is just, I think of the best friends as we think about on-chain community commerce as Coinbase, Shopify, and TYB.
Yep.
And so that's right ahead of us. And I think, collectively, we're going to be able to bring a lot more women and the whole world on chain.
Yeah, and I'm so fired up about it. Me and Ty have been talking about doing this for what, like 3 years?
A long while,
like,
yes.
The whole time
it's finally happening.
The whole time that Base has been existing, me and Ty have been DMing about like, how do we make this happen? When's the right time? And of course it was Crocs. Ty came to me and said, it has to be for the, not really, but I did learn about the Crocs campaign.
You're going to earn for your obsession now, and you'll have a proof of fan. You can show that you're level 3, but you got to prove it.
I'm so fired up. I'm so excited to build together. Merlin?
Right. Just 4 hours ago, we just announced our V2, which is a intent-based lending protocol. So you'll be able to just express what you want to lend, how you want to borrow. It will be fixed rate, variable rate, cross-chain, whatever. It will basically solve every problem from fintechs, institutions, DeFi protocols. So we're super excited with that, and we deeply think that it's at the right moment where all the fintechs of the world, Coinbase is coming on chain, and this is the moment to build those kind of use cases and letting access to every users on Earth to just like simple like getting a loan on chain instantly. So if it's interesting, like let's chat and
yeah, that's what I'll say is if you're doing any kind of lending, whether it's consumer lending or institutional lending, would really encourage you to connect with Merlin. The technology that they've built, like he said, is powering the new Bitcoin-backed loans product in Coinbase. It's a one-tap borrow USDC against your Bitcoin. But behind the scenes, the way that actually works is it takes your Bitcoin, it wraps it into Coinbase Bitcoin, it deposits that Coinbase Bitcoin on Base into Morpho, and it borrows USDC against that. And all of that is bundled into one transaction using the smart wallet.
And then you can spend those USDC to buy your coffee or, just like the coffee that you have here.
Do whatever you want. And we've built all of this infrastructure, and now the markets, there's almost $1 billion of Bitcoin that is being borrowed against now. It's happened in about 4 months. It's growing really, really quickly. And the really cool thing about it is it's a totally repeatable model, where other businesses that look like Coinbase can do this, more kind of institutionally scaled lenders who need access to capital can plug in here. People who are building all sorts of lending products can collaborate with Morpho, so would highly recommend doing that. Shane, one thing you're excited about?
There's a lot of things I'm excited about these days in the Polymarket world. I'd say recently we announced our partnership with X, which is just like really exciting. Took a lot of work. And the first thing that we rolled out is just, when I look at Polymarket to go get a gist of what's going on in the world, I'm always like, okay, well, the market moved, but what does that actually mean? Or, okay, well, like, here is this market, and like, this seems important, and other people think it's important, but why is it important? And we added these Grok annotations with like X posts, sort of like an overlay into the chart, which I think so far people have thought is awesome, and I personally always wanted. So the first little bite of the cookie, and it's just something that's practically very useful. So.
Any other alpha leaks on what's coming next?
No alpha leaks, unfortunately, but stay tuned.
Well, thanks you 3 for joining us. Thanks everybody. Let's bring the world on chain.